Find your rhythm, your happy place. Find your breaking point. Then break it. Every emergency gives you a potent blend of nutrients, so you can emerge your best with Emergency.
Brushing only reaches 25% of your mouth. Listerine cleans virtually 100%, helping to prevent gum disease and bad breath. Never settle for 25%. Always go for 100. Bring out the bold.
At first, I was interested in Japan. Getting to know Japan and be a part of Japan, this goes even deeper. For the last 7 years, I've been working at the famous Takashimaya department store. I am now a buyer for wagashi, which are Japanese sweets. Wagashi are more than just sweets. They reflect the depth and richness of a country. Working together with my department brought new perspectives on this Japanese tradition. I even get to share my discoveries with young Japanese.
The tea ceremony is a ritual of welcome, regardless of religion or nationality. I moved to Japan in the mid-'80s, where I was introduced to tea culture. Today, I teach the way of tea to both Japanese and non-Japanese students. Being a part of this cultural exchange has allowed me to experience the goodwill between people and to build a bridge between Japan and the rest of the world.
To support local restaurants, we've been to every city, including Baton Rouge.
And even Topeka.
Yeah, we're exhausted. Woo. So tonight, I'll be eating the roast beef hero from Parm in Soho. Excellent.
And tonight, I'll be eating the coconut curry chicken from Beekle's in Winter Hill.
Oh, they're excellent. I had so many fried plantains. I thought I was going to Pearl.
Do you think they bought it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm Stanley Tucci. I'm traveling across Italy to discover how the food is as unique as the people and their past.
Stanley Tucci, searching for Italy. If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Introducing Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting QUEST to 231231. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting QUEST to 231231. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles, absolutely free. Text QUEST to 231231.
I'm Rosa Flores along the U.S.-Mexico border, and this is CNN.
I will not relent until we beat this virus. But I need you.
Health officials are also deeply concerned Americans are letting their guard down.
As I was walking down the street, I noticed the bars are just filling up. It seems like people have been dying to get out and party.
These are the faces of the immigration surge on the U.S.-Mexico border.
There are more children coming across the border than we have facilities for.
There is a crisis on the Texas border right now. This crisis is a result of President Biden's open border policy.
In Texas, tornadoes are now the latest concern. We're talking about a level 4 out of 5. So you're talking a few tornadoes, large hail that could be up around baseball size.
Oh my God, it's a full condensed tornado.
This is New Day Weekend with Victor Blackwell and Christi Paul.
Look at Miami, beautiful starting this Sunday morning. Good morning to you. Thanks so much for being with us. Big progress on both shots and stimulus this weekend. Of course, the goal is to get the economic aid and coronavirus protection to millions of people.
Yeah, direct deposits of the $1,400 relief payments are hitting bank accounts now. Those waiting on paper checks and prepaid debit cards, they're expected to get those before the end of the month. Now, records in the COVID vaccine rollout we want to tell you about, too. Yesterday, the CDC reported nearly 3 million doses were administered. 1 in 5 Americans has now received at least one dose of a vaccine.
But is the progress at risk? Some health officials are keeping up their warnings about variants. They see states ease restrictions and air travel hit pandemic records just as the spring break kicks off.
Yeah, experts point out that it's led to surges before. They don't want to see recent history repeat itself. CNN's Natasha Chen reports from Miami Beach.
The U.S. is vaccinating more people every day, seeing lower hospitalizations, lower daily deaths, and lower new cases, but lower only relative to a few months ago. Late last week, there were 3 consecutive days of more than 50,000 new cases and 1,500 new deaths reported each day. And it's coming as states continue to loosen restrictions and in some cases lift mask mandates.
Boy, is that the wrong time to do that? We have this slightly troubling, maybe more than slightly troubling variant called B117 that is now about 30% of the isolates in the U.S. and we know is more contagious. So if there was ever a time to put on the mask, this is it.
The Texas Attorney General has sued the city of Austin for continuing their mask requirement after the state lifted its mandate. The mayor of Galveston said he has to honor the governor's orders.
I think each community makes their own decision. I think Austin, Round Rock, and that area there, they're one of the few areas in the state that has been pushing back on this. And we'll see how that plays out. We consulted with our city attorney here in Galveston, and the consensus was that we do not have any flexibility with this order. And so we are honoring the governor's orders.
Everybody got a mask? Anybody need a mask?
In Florida, the state order doesn't allow local jurisdictions to fine people for not following a mask requirement. So all the Miami Beach authorities can do for spring break tourists is give out free masks in hopes people will wear them.
I appreciate it, boss.
The mayor told me it's a problem of mixed messaging where leaders have different attitudes about COVID restrictions.
When a hurricane comes, we all stand up and we point to the public, and from the lowliest mayor to the governor to the president, gives exactly the same advice. And people, when they see that, okay, I guess I got to evacuate or I got to do something to be safer. But right now, I get emails every day from people still mad at me about the mask mandate.
While some states like Florida have already allowed businesses to be fully open for months, other regions are just now relaxing more restrictions. Los Angeles County, for example, will allow indoor dining and movie theaters to operate at reduced capacity for the first time in about 9 months. And with more than 35 million people in the U.S. fully vaccinated and a stimulus package passed, there is hope, including the teachers and families getting back to the classroom.
The smile you see on my face right now, Jake, is the light at the end of this very dark tunnel.
Gotta get a mask. We get a free mask.
Natasha Chen, CNN, Miami Beach, Florida.
Dr. Rob Davidson with us now. He's an emergency room physician in West Michigan and executive director of the Committee to Protect Medicare. We just heard her say we are at the end. We see the light of this dark tunnel. I have heard you say, please don't forget we are in the tunnel. Help us understand what you're thinking when you see some of the pictures coming out of Florida and Texas right now.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We do see that light, but it's still a tunnel that we're in. Just the other day, yesterday, saw a young person who hadn't been wearing a mask because they figured, well, it's really not going to affect me. I'm a young person. I should come through this okay. And, on day 2 of symptoms, comes in with extremely low oxygen with COVID, gets admitted to the hospital. We know the worst is around day 7 or 8. So this person's in for a long, rocky road. And then, I'm seeing so many people. We know tens of thousands of people in this country with this COVID long haul syndrome is what they're starting to call it, who have recovered, who have gotten out of the hospital. But I've seen a couple in the past few weeks, young people who still can't climb a flight of stairs, still can't get back to work 3 months after they were discharged from the hospital. This is the reality that we're in. And as we see that light, we don't want to ruin it now. We don't want to play the same game we played last year with the politics dictating rather than the public health and get into another surge.
So let's talk about some of the restrictions that are being lifted. Movie theaters in Los Angeles County reopen tomorrow. 25% capacity, 6 feet of space between each group in all directions. Do you think that's safe?
I think everything is on a scale, right? So absolutely safe would be to keep them closed. But if you're doing it at reduced capacity, if you're maintaining distance, if people are mandated to wear masks throughout and someone is checking on that and enforcing that rule, I think it's relatively safe. We all have to decide. Certainly if you've been vaccinated, it's a lot safer. So we just have to know it's a dimmer switch, and people have to get the communication that if things start to get bad again, that they're going to, shut those kinds of things down, and they have to expect that could happen.
So you just mentioned long haulers before this, people who are suffering from fatigue and brain fog and headaches. And I have to be really transparent here. This is my husband. My husband is a long hauler. He had it in July. He's still feeling it. And I know a lot of other people are as well. This is becoming more common, these long haul symptoms. Should long haulers, I've heard people ask, should they get the vaccine?
They should get the vaccine. They absolutely should, because we don't know how long that native immunity lasts. We don't know how robust it is compared to the studies that have shown the kinds of immunity you get from a 2-shot or a 1-shot vaccine that are now on the market. So absolutely, we want to protect them, and we want to protect everyone around them as well.
One of the side effects of the last year has been the reduction in childhood immunizations. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky reported during the White House briefing that CDC orders for childhood vaccinations dropped by about 11 million. How does that factor into the plan to get children back into school, and what will be the practical impact of that?
Yeah, I think that's significant, and I think we have to do a better job of letting people know it's safe to get back into your doctor's office, that these offices all have, strict rules as far as masks and distancing. But in the vast majority of those cases, there is a herd immunity, the thing we've talked about with COVID that's been so elusive. There is herd immunity that exists with so many of those diseases, measles, mumps, rubella, everything these kids get vaccinated against. So there's a level of protection simply because the population is immune. But yeah, it's critical that they get back in, and I'm sure that we're going to get back on track.
Since you're in Michigan, Dr. Davidson, I want to ask you about what happened on Friday. Governor Gretchen Whitmer announced that by April 5th, Michiganders 16 and older will be able to get the vaccine. So she's expanding the eligibility there. There was an advisor to the Kent County Health Department there, Jeff Burns, in a report on Bridge, Michigan, who says this about that expansion. He says throwing open eligibility to young adults allows the technology savvy to push inside first. You can easily have those older and sicker people lose their spot. They'll be bowled over because all those eager 25-year-olds know exactly how to hit refresh repeatedly all night until they get through. We know that some young people actually feel guilty about the potential of getting vaccinated when we know there are people who need it as well, possibly more than they do. But is it a valid concern of expanding eligibility that the most vulnerable may be pushed out?
Well, I think we have to do all of the above, right? We have to be helping folks that are maybe technology constrained get vaccinated and get signed up for those. And I know that the state and the health department is working on that. There's money from the federal government that is directed toward that, and our state legislature has been holding that up over some kind of political fights. So we want that to all occur. But listen, the more people we get vaccinated across the board, the closer we get to herd immunity in the state, and everyone gets protected. So I think it's the right thing to do to open this up, as long as they are sure that they're going to have the vaccine doses they need. And I trust the team that that's the case.
Yeah, everyone's going to have to get this or should get it at some point. Dr. Rob Davidson, thanks so much. Enjoy the week.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks, sir. So fresh off a major victory on the COVID relief package, the president and Congress are looking ahead to their next challenge, immigration.
Plus, a sports announcer in Oklahoma, maybe you've heard this clip, he's blaming diabetes for using a racist slur during a basketball game.